If we are not mindful based on the compounding effect of our daily habits, it will start to show in our late 30s, beginning our 40s, and so on.
If you're not detoxing your liver, then the liver's going to accumulate with so many things.
Without NAD, we're dead, basically.
What are some of the things that we're overlooking when it comes to kids' nutrition?
Heavy metals is a massive deal for all of us, but children get affected by this so much more.
Your nervous system is just kind of like blah.
The conventional medical system is broken.
Hello, Brave Table fam. Welcome to another episode of The Brave Table. I'm your host, Dr. Neeta, and this is your destination, your oasis to be all things just a little bit more brave in your actions, in your relationships, and in your life. And today, I have a question for you. How are you braving your health? If you are a mama, if you are a goal-getting queen, is your nervous system kind of taking you out of whack? Are you having low energy? Are you wishing to have more vitality and more vigorous energy, or maybe the chance of even reversing aging in your life? Well, my guest has done exactly that. She's amassed almost more than 2 million followers, even 3 million on all of the platforms. She is not only a queen of holistic wellness, but also helping people hack their health. Now, my girl, Mary Cristine, is the passionate founder of Be That Life Integrative Health, dedicated to empowering individuals on their transformative journeys toward holistic healing. Her extensive travels have immersed her in diverse cultures, foods, and ancient healing practices, enriching her approach to wellness. Her personal experiences with her own trauma, her own depression, eating disorders have fueled her full commitment to helping others heal from the inside out. Not only has she delved into mind, body, soul healing, discovering the profound impact of integrative nutrition and gut health on overall well-being, she's also created a lifestyle around this, helping other people do that as well. And Be That Life Integrative Health, which is her supplement line, she offers personalized coaching programs, courses, and challenges to guide individuals toward their personal and professional growth. And this episode today, we are going to get into health hacks for the busy mama, for the busy queen that wants to do everything, but then sometimes has her gas on empty, and how to refuel that holistically, energetically, and to pour into those that we love. And so without further ado, let's bring on the queen of it all, Mary Cristine, on the Brave Table this week.
Hey, Neeta, what a great intro. Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun to be here.
Oh my gosh.
In Dubai with you.
In Dubai. And I have to say, I love the fact that you are also half Pinay.
Yeah.
Because
gotta have that Filipino connection.
you know, that Filipina connection. I'm loving it. It's like coming back to the roots here.
Totally.
So you've created such a powerful brand for yourself, but obviously, you know, it didn't start this way. And I want to take us back to, as much as you feel comfortable, but how did Mary Cristine become the Mary Cristine that you are today?
You know what I say to everybody is that we all have a story, right? And our story is either something that we use to fuel our growth, or we use it as a victim of our circumstance. And, you know, growing up in the Middle East, so I grew up in Dubai and moved out when I was 5 years old. So it's been such a long time.
How wild is it that you grew up in Dubai?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But also I feel like Dubai also kind of really changed the trajectory of my life in so many ways, because only a 50-year-old country, but also it fuels inspiration. It fuels innovation. It fuels growth. And when I'm here, I feel all of those things. Like growing up here, where this place was a desert, people didn't even know what it was. Back then, I would like go on MySpace when MySpace was famous,
MySpace. That's
and
right.
I'll be like, I'm from Dubai. I live in Dubai, and they're like, "Where's Dubai?" And now it's like Dubai is a destination that people want to live in, be in, and just thrive in.
Mm-hmm.
And so they also started from nowhere. It was a desert, and I grew up in that desert. And over the years, with great leadership, they managed to build something that people crave for.
Yeah.
And because I was raised in such an environment, I also wanted the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And the UAE and Dubai really and the leadership in this country really showed me, like, everything's possible. And what we thought once was not possible is possible. And if you're someone that is a nobody, you can become somebody.
Yeah.
And that's really where it started for me, you know.
I mean, it's so wild that you say that because I feel like so many people, a lot of our listeners are from the West. And even when I shared that I was moving to Dubai, it was like, wait, where is that?
Still,
some of
wow.
some of our yes, that is yes. I mean, I came from Austin, Texas, and so it was wild for me to even share that. And so I love that you're bringing this up because I too agree with you. It's so future forward and it's bringing together so many amazing entrepreneurs. I feel like you are a testament of that because you have been in so many different industries. And now I feel like there's the integration of not only, holistic Mary Christine and you have your Be That Life products, but I feel like it's kind of a testament to you growing up in this space it's so transformative. And I felt that when I lived in, the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, like where the world's moving, Facebook was happening and all of these other places are happening. Where did you get that initial inspiration from?
To start a business or
Mhm.
like to do what I do today,
Yeah.
it was a lot of like health struggles and family related things. So losing my dad really young,
How old were you?
59. He was 59 and I was just about to finish university.
No
So I was still
way.
like early 20s, 22, 21 was when I really found out like he was stage 4 cancer and we tried to save him. But what around 22, like mid 20, when I turned almost 23 is when we lost him.
What cancer
So
did he have?
he had cancer in the gallbladder and
Mm.
then it spread though. So it wasn't just like there, it moved to the blood and to liver. And yeah, it was like such a quick transition to like having him normal to one day he's just like, who are you? You know, so it was really difficult for me because like he was my mentor, he was my best
Mhm.
friend.
Yeah.
And losing someone that you love, like anybody, it doesn't really matter if it's like a family member, if it's a really great friend. We've all either been surrounded by people that we lose through cancer, whether it's immediate family or in our community. So it's super, super tough. And it's the number one killer in the world, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you're really young and you don't have any stability at all and you're just trying to find your way in life, I think the hopelessness and helplessness of any situation is always so much harder to cope with than it is when you are probably more established and can find ways to help someone.
It's so true, and I feel like I mean, I resonate so much with your story. My dad was also 59 when he passed,
Wow.
which is
Wow.
nuts, and he
That
had
is nuts.
yeah, and stage 4, yeah, lung cancer.
Right.
So and I
So
feel
you
like
get it.
oh, I get it, and, like, I don't know about you, but, like, probably looking back, I mean, did you feel like you had a lot of support around that time when you were going through
No,
yeah,
not at all.
like, as an early twenty-something-year-old?
Yeah. It's hard for people to understand what you're going through if they're not going through the same thing. You know,
Mhm,
there's people that can, empathize and feel sorry for like the situation, but unless you're really going through that yourself, it's really really hard to be able to comfort someone that doesn't really understand. And it's the same when you're a parent.
mhm,
You can't really get advice from someone that isn't a parent, right? When they don't understand the struggles of motherhood. So it's
totally.
the same in any situation. So I just feel like it was I went from a place of like this confident, like happy go lucky young woman to being someone that didn't know what to do with her life anymore.
Mm.
So it really changed a lot for me, but also it changed my view on health. Another point was I also was a young mom. So I also just gave birth to a son at the age of 22.
Oh, wow. So you lost
Yeah.
your dad and gave birth at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. I lost my dad the same year when my son was only 3 months old. So
Wow.
it was pretty crazy. But then at the age of 6, my son developed a neurological disorder. And this is a massive deal. And I like talking about this because like, there's a lot of mothers out there, whether, mothers who come from like a full family unit because they have a partner or whether they're single moms. They go through a lot of like different motions when it comes to raising children because there are some children that grow up with either Down syndrome, they're autistic, or further develop into a neurological disorder like what my son had, which was then diagnosed to be the mild form of Tourette's at such a young
Oh.
age, at the age of 6 actually, where like a mom who knew nothing about what that was, like really struggled with like trying to like understand that. And society obviously programs into our brain that it's just the doctors that we listen to and they know everything and it's the conventional way of doing things. But then for any person who either went through something in their past and then had very little faith in conventional medical system, you probably would question and every single thing a doctor would say now.
Hmm.
So for me, it was more like, what do you mean? Like he was starting to do these like motor tics. Do you know what they are?
Yeah. So tell us about like the Tourette's and what, like,
Yeah,
for
so he
people who
started
don't
doing these
know.
involuntary movements in his body. First started happening with his like shoulders,
So it
and
would
then he
just
started to,
move.
yeah, he would just do like shoulder shrugs like all day, and then it would be like his neck, and it would be like constant, like weird, like hundreds a day kind of ticks,
Mm,
right? And to the point where his classmates at school would notice that and they'd be like, why do you keep doing that? And because I didn't know what they were initially, I would also like tell him to kind of stop doing that. So
hmm.
I took him to the doctor to kind of like understand like what was happening with him. And they're like, actually, he has a neurological disorder. It's a very mild form of Tourette's at the moment. We're going to prescribe you with Prozac.
Oh, wow.
Prozac at 6 years old.
Oh my
Girl, I
gosh.
was just like, no.
Antidepressants
I'm
for
like,
Prozac?
no, that's not happening. Because
Yeah.
what they'd realize is that when you give them that, it actually calms your nerves and it
Mm,
helps with lowering the amount of motion tics that you're doing daily,
interesting. Okay.
right? So obviously, I go back back home and I do my own research, and I'm just like, I'm not giving my son Prozac.
Yeah.
So I tried to find various different ways to kind of help him like heal from what he was going through. I discovered that a lot of kids who get that at such a young age have a deficiency in magnesium.
Mm,
And
hmm.
usually, when you have a magnesium deficiency in magnesium or zinc, it causes a problem to your brain, and the brain obviously is the one that is responsible for the nerves and in your body, right?
Wow.
So I struggled with 2 years of tics.
Oh
Two
my
years.
gosh.
I had to
Before
take him
you
out of school.
find out.
I took him out of school for a year because he was getting bullied.
Yeah.
It got really bad. He was very extroverted, then became introverted. He started losing confidence in himself, started wondering, well, what's wrong with me? Like, what's the problem? And, at that age, you don't really realize so much. You don't know so much until someone tells you there's a problem.
Yeah.
You're a kid. You just want to have fun, enjoy life. Unless someone tells you there's something wrong, you don't know there's anything wrong. So, 2 years of really, diving deep into traditional Chinese medicine, into Ayurveda practices, into trying different diets, trying different vitamins and mineral components. It got much worse before it got even better. And 2 years into it, I managed that by the time he was 8, he was free from anything related to what he was experiencing.
Wow. You were able to fully heal him.
Fully heal him and just with traditional uh, methods opposed to the conventional, the pill for an ill situation.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that really like pushed me and changed the way I looked on about health in general, in a sense that the conventional medical system is broken.
Yeah.
What they're trying to push and the narrative they're trying to educate people is completely opposite from what we can actually heal and the way we can heal from disease.
Yeah.
So
I mean, holistic health. Did you see signs of him having depression, or how did that even affect you around that time?
he wasn't so much. It was more like me, like having to deal with the fact that he was doing all of these involuntary tics. I wouldn't say, he was depressed in a sense. It was more like he just started becoming less confident.
Yeah.
He was just becoming like, just more like doing things by himself. He didn't want to go out in public. He'd throw a lot of tantrums. Yeah,
Self-isolation.
right. It was a
Mhm.
lot of that. And because he was so young and didn't really understand, it was me trying to console him to make him understand that there's nothing wrong with him.
Mhm.
And more like focused on I am enough and I'm worthy, and giving him the confidence that he needed to be able to still thrive, even though he was going through these like health related things that he knew nothing about.
Yeah. I can't believe that at 6 years old that started happening.
Yeah.
So, like, for all the mamas listening to this, what advice would you give them in terms of, like, how to health hack? Like, what are, like, maybe the top 2 or 3, because you also have a food company here in the region, but what are some of the things that we're overlooking when it comes to kids' nutrition? and
So
supplements.
in the US, it's, I mean, herbicides and pesticides is massive in our produce, right? And I mean, there's some like glyphosate, for example, um, that is banned in this region. So we're obviously
Thank
we're
God.
not getting that kind of stuff, but there's still contaminants in our food. And for example, I was a working mom, so I had help at home, and my help was someone that I trained to cook certain types of foods, and maybe from a hygiene perspective, she maybe wasn't always washing, the produce that we're having at home in the right way, and sure that will contaminate
The
us.
foods.
Yeah, and think about gut microbiome as a whole, right? And when you're much younger, your everything in your body is still developing. Your eyes, your gut microbiome, your organs, the way that your body is getting accustomed to so many different things. And it's not till we're much older that we're building our immunity.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy metals is a massive deal for all of us, and we are constantly exposed to heavy metals every single day, as a young child, as a developing young child, and even as an adult. And adults are developing so many different types of chronic inflammation based on heavy metals, but children get affected by this so much more. The herbicides and pesticides that we're getting from food because we're not washing our produce enough.
Mm.
So
Or
washing it
using the
our
wrong water, right?
yeah, so washing it in water alone is not enough.
Okay.
And we definitely need it to be washed in baking soda, to really remove as much residue from all of the contaminants that they're putting when they spray this before they even get to us,
Yeah.
right? Like look at the apple, for example. It's super shiny
And it's
when you
waxed.
see it in the supermarket. That isn't how, have you been to a farm? Have you
No, I
seen
haven't. Not in a
like
while.
how her organic produce is actually made? They don't look like that,
Right. No, they're
right?
smaller. They're much
Yeah, not even
smaller. They have
about
the
that. And
leaves on
they're
there.
not shiny.
No, they're not. They're
You
dull.
know?
It's very dull.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not shiny, and they're covered in so many different things because they're obviously in our natural environment. But then we get to a supermarket and we see all these produce which are just so beautiful. They're not beautiful like that for without a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're covered in things that aren't necessarily great for our body. And we need to make sure that our produce is washed really well. It's the same for the chicken and the beef, the
Okay.
hormones that they're injecting, the antibiotics that they're putting into these so that they're getting big, and the things that they're eating,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're someone that either, can't afford organic, you're going to go for something that's cheaper, right?
Right.
And like, how can we guarantee that the produce that we're consuming every single day, whether it's from fruits and vegetables, whether it's from meats, are what we need it to be? Our society and the big pharma and the big food, all of these companies and they're like these massive players in the world, right? And they're the ones that are injecting us with all of these produce and the things that we need. And how do we know where they come from? Are we just
Mm-hmm.
going to trust everything that we read on the labels?
Right.
A lot of the stuff that we're reading on the labels are not necessarily always the most healthy. Someone can say to you that this is antibiotic free, but they may not tell you the
Right. It's the
truth, right?
marketing
It's the
behind it.
marketing. And there's a lot of scams going on in the marketing that's being produced these days. So the number one thing is I would always recommend is that traces of heavy metals in your children will cause issues like neurological disorders, autoimmune diseases, problems with your gut, definitely for younger children, food intolerances, food allergies, the mold that we experience from the air condition in our homes,
Mm-hmm.
that we're breathing every single day. I understand like in Europe, most places don't have air
Yeah.
conditioning.
Yeah.
Great weather, it's amazing.
Yep.
You're always breathing fresh air, but you're coming to places where, Texas and Arizona and many parts of the US, you need air
Of
conditioning,
course.
right? You have air conditions
Oh,
in your
yes.
homes.
All the time.
Same in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So how are you cleaning your air vents?
Mm.
How are like, I mean, we have centralized air conditions in most of the homes in the Middle East, in
Mm-hmm.
the UAE. And like, if you're not diligent with that, you're living in older villas and older buildings, how are you managing your mold toxicity at home?
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly breathing this air. I'm going to give you an example. My son grew up here, right? And he was constantly having sinus related issues.
Oh, really?
And then he moved to the UK to go for university. Not even a single related nose issue or allergy
No
while
way.
when the US, well, in the entire time he's been in the UAE, he's always blowing, is always having sinus related, always be having allergic reaction.
Oh, wow. That's
Just a
interesting.
complete change in environment completely switches how a child turn to a grown
Can
up can
thrive.
feel and yes, and thrive.
Wow.
So, heavy metal toxins are massive. So, you need to constantly do a heavy metal detox. Specifically for children, it's important to make sure that fruits and vegetables are washed. It's important that you have a diffuser at home,
Mhm.
like something that's managing your air quality
Mhm.
indoors. If you're someone that's living in the Middle East or in a warmer climate country where you need air condition in your home a lot, please have,
An air purifier.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh.
have those. Have that. Super, super important. The water that you're using, super important to have like really good quality water.
Do you have
Into
a specific type of water that you like? Do you like the is it the reverse RO, or do you have any takes on that?
No, not really.
Okay.
Like I'm not somebody that is like I have just a really good like purification system in my home in terms of the water kind of thing that I use in the taps of my home. Do
Okay.
you have that?
I have to check. We
Did
just
you have
moved.
that? No, no, back in the US.
Back in
Like
the
what
US,
were
we
you
had
using for water?
a reverse osmosis system,
Yes,
and it was like
yes, that's it.
central.
The reverse osmosis
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it really manages the pH levels of the
Mhm.
water
Yes.
that you're drinking, but also there's a separate version that manages the pH levels of your skin. S-
Yeah,
So
because
there's
I've
one,
heard that, like, I
the water,
mean,
for example, here isn't really great for hair health.
right.
So a lot of people are losing hair when they come and live in the
That's
Middle
what I've
East.
heard.
Yeah, so if you're not, I mean, you can have a water filtration system, obviously for the shower heads, but
And why is that? Is it because the water is just, like,
yeah, it's
super
harsh.
it's harsh?
It's
Okay.
harsh. Like, I mean, the chemicals that I guess, that they're using within the water sources here, it's not really matching with the pH levels of our scalp, for example. So
Mhm.
it isn't working really well for us in that sense. So having definitely a shower head purifier or a better shower head that purifies water, it's way better. And, that's something that I would recommend for sure.
Okay, so now that we've got the kids' stuff and you've gone through, I mean, just so like what a massive journey with your son. How then had it transformed the way that you do business and kind of your message out in the world to
Right.
help other
So
moms?
I think it's also like just the whole like really my father going through cancer and trying to understand cancer. I really tried to educate myself on the different types of cancer that affect either children and women and men because we're all so different. Everything, begins in the gut microbiome.
Mm,
Everything that happens to us is based on our gut microbiome. Our microbiome has been well researched now, and over time, it's been dubbed as the second brain. But I don't believe it's the second brain. I really believe it's our first brain.
mm, mhm.
And it is the one thing that regulates our hormones, our moods, and our immune system. It's everything that connects between our gut intuition and our gut feelings
Yeah.
to how we make decisions every single day. And most people, because they live in a chronic stress environment and living in a very high cortisol, sympathetic nervous system, they're never always in the rest and digest state. They're always in the fight and flight every single day. Um, they
Mhm.
are no longer able to listen to their gut intuition because it's no longer able to read the right signals.
Right.
And that's the reason why people are always craving sugar. We are in this epidemic of like high fatty foods, high carb, high sugar foods where our body is always chronically inflamed, girl, like
Mhm.
always chronically inflamed. And because we're living in this kind of environment right now, it makes it so difficult to eat in such a healthy way
Yeah.
where, we have so many delivery systems in the UAE.
It's
We're so
insane.
spoiled for choice
We're
here,
so
right?
spoiled. Like, you don't have to cook here.
You don't even need to go out to buy even the smallest thing from a pharmacy.
Right. You
Like
can just get it delivered.
even like 6 pieces of banana can get delivered to you here.
No, it's insane.
It's
And
insane
in
how
within 15 to 30 minutes.
it's insane how easy it is here. The environment that we live in make it so easy to eat unhealthy,
Well, and it
right?
makes you lazy
Yeah.
because before it's like, oh, I have to walk to my grocery store. And in that walking, I'll probably get like 1,000 steps in or something like that. But now it makes you fatter, lazier, more complacent. And, your nervous system is just kind of like blah.
Right. And I'm totally about that. I love, being in Europe during the summer. I love just being in Europe. I love being in a country where it pushes me to want to walk and to explore and to people watch and to just window shop or just to be outdoors and breathe great air. And it's challenging because we don't necessarily have that in this region. So you have to be extra mindful to take your, morning walk. If you have a pet, it's amazing because if you have a dog, you have
You
to.
have to
You're
go.
forced to go out to
Totally.
go and do it. But aside from that, everything like it's such a sedentary city, and it makes
Lifestyle.
you like get into your car. I mean, can you blame them in the summer heat? You don't really want to be outdoors, right?
Yeah.
So living in such an environment, and it's so challenging to stay healthy here, like you really have to be the kind of person that is super mega disciplined to really keep sure that your weight's in check, to make sure that you're always like low on inflammation, to be able to sleep better, to thrive better, to be better.
Mhm.
So for me, I think for anyone that is massive in the health space and understands like true wealth and well-being, it comes from a space of like understanding your unique gut microbiome.
Okay, so first check your gut
Check your
microbiome
gut
first.
microbiome. Like go for your test.
Mhm.
Definitely go for a regular test. If you're someone that is predisposed to having a chronic illness, like you come from a family line of having cancers,
Mhm.
breast cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, obesity is in your genes, diabetes is in your genes, get your regular checkup.
And I wanted to kind of circle back on what you shared about, we're constantly inflamed. And we're constantly inflamed. And so when we're constantly inflamed, we go for that extra bag of chips or we go for, the most unhealthy sweets because then we start to crave more sugars, right? And so what is it that something, let's just say, for instance, for us mamas who are constantly, we have so many things on our plate, we have a thousand windows and doors opened. I know you created your supplement line. Is there something that can support our nervous system and support our, gut so that we can reduce our inflammation?
The number one thing I would always recommend for women specifically, because we're such a different hormone balancing component in the human body than men do, is that you really need to set yourself up first thing in the morning.
Hmm.
Like have a really great breakfast.
What
Don't
if we're not
skip that.
hungry?
Don't skip it.
Okay,
Have
don't skip it.
have a savory, really good breakfast first thing in the morning, especially if you're someone that is either, have PCOS, hyperthyroidism, if you're someone that is struggling with weight and needs to kind of lose weight, set yourself up through the day. Because if you're not going to set yourself up first thing in the morning, you're going to start to crave a lot of trash
Hmm.
because you want to have energy throughout the day at lunchtime or mid lunch because you're having those crashes. And you're going to go and pick up the first thing that you can have because you want to have enough energy to survive. And usually, like, it's something sugar related or a carb related
Always.
dish,
Yeah.
always. So set yourself up first thing in the morning. I have a supplement line. So the first thing I recommend for people to do is make sure to take your NMN supplement.
NMN.
Now, NMN is
Or
a
is it?
really important supplement because for those that don't understand what NMN is, it is called nicotinamide mononucleotide. And NMN, what they've discovered is it boosts the NAD levels in the body.
And NAD is that's a
Like
sexy thing that
NAD
we want
is
in our
super
bodies.
important because without NAD, we're dead, basically. That's how vital NAD is for the human body.
And for your mitochondria, right?
100%. And for the function of your organs, your immunity. But aside from that is just like collagen depletes over time,
Hmm.
we research does show that our NAD levels decreases by up to 50% by time we reach the age of 50.
Ooh, by 50%.
Babe, 50%
Oh,
is
I didn't know
huge, by
that.
the way. And that's the reason why, we start developing a lot of illness past the age of 40, right? There are things just don't work the same way. We pack on weight in like areas we shouldn't be packing on weight when, it's easier to lose it in our 20s and 30s. We're packing on visceral fat specifically for women in our thighs in our 40s. For women who are approaching the age of menopause,
Yeah.
you're just not understanding like when you used to be able to lose the weight and just like fast for a couple of days, it's not dropping anymore as it used to.
And is that the reason why? So, and it's NAD plus if you're looking on Amazon because, there's so many different labels now, but so many different, companies are coming out with these formulations. And so why, when if we're teaching women how to look at these labels of, okay, NAD is like the new fad, and you go to the IV store and they're going to shoot up NAD, or inject it to
Yeah.
you, or like give it to you in an IV. What's the difference between NMN and NAD, and when are they beneficial?
So NAD is what our body produces, and NMN is just a precursor for NAD. So they discovered in clinical trials when they were checking this NMN component, when people started taking NMN, it just boosts NAD in the human body.
Mm,
And not everyone prefers to go on the needle all the time and go
yeah.
and get like a vitamin D shot or an NAD shot. And like a lot of people are not as comfortable with doing
And
that, you know?
NAD, like IV drips, are about 3 to 4 hours.
Yes, like
It's
they
the whole
are.
day.
Yeah, yeah. It takes a lot of time. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't prefer to do that.
And some people get like these heart
Yeah,
palpitations if
not only
they're
that, like
getting it.
nausea,
They feel really
everyone,
funky.
yeah, everyone experiences supplements or IV drips so different. Just like when we're consuming different types of food, we feel different. Some women do really well on glucose because they have the lactase enzyme that produces the gluten really well.
Mhm.
So they can absorb gluten way better in their body. While some women, they don't even produce enough lactase enzyme in the body. So when they consume gluten, they either bloat, they feel really terrible, they're throwing up. So really, because the gut microbiome and the human body is so different, and it's different as we age every decade, by the way, and in every environment that we live in,
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
really important to find what works best for you. And hence why, whenever I work with someone, the first thing I will always recommend is go and take a blood test,
Okay.
right? I want to understand your unique, microbiome. I
Sure.
want to understand your vitamin and mineral deficiencies. I want to understand your, levels of nutritional deficiencies in terms of what you're intolerant to, what you're tolerant to, and even your allergies, because that really changes the game if you understand, what works. For example, like I carry the same gene as Sean Wells, and I can't metabolize coffee very well.
Oh, okay.
But if you're not understanding the things that you can metabolize really well, you consume it and like wonder why coffee doesn't work as well for you, like it does, for example, someone else.
Yeah.
And you could be like, why don't you get the jitters? How come you don't develop any anxiety? How come you sleep so well, regardless that you're taking that? Because they're just fast metabolizers of that particular thing.
Interesting.
Well, I myself can't handle that. I'm overthinking. I develop anxiety. I'm not sleeping great. It doesn't have that same effect for me like it does everyone, like someone who can metabolize that. Hence why we now are doing genetic testings as well. So it's a test called nutrigenomics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nutrigenomics.
So nutrigenomics was discovered based on the Human Genome Project, which is the largest ever genetic profile project ever done in human history, where they were able to check over 25 different thousand types of genes in the human body and how that works with the foods that we eat, but also how we are predisposed to disease.
Mm.
So the nutrigenomics test then shows us that when you take this particular test, it's able to gauge certain nutrients that turn on your longevity genes
Okay.
or the ones that turn on your genes that cause disease.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah, it's
so
massive.
so your telomeres, basically.
Not just your telomeres, it's more like um, all the genetic DNA profiles in the human body that trigger disease based on the nutrient profile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So it
so
really is what we're eating
it's
and what
really
we're
it has
feeding.
always been about what we eat. It's always been
Mm.
about that. And it's the saying that goes like you can't outrun a poor diet. It's really just 20% of what you kill yourself at the gym working out, and it's really the 80% that you're putting in your body. You could starve for a whole week straight. Would you not lose weight?
Oh,
We were
yeah, of
gonna lose
course.
weight,
Yeah.
right? And if you're not eating for a whole week, you're gonna drop the kilos. So it's not rocket science. People just don't seem to get it. They think that because I go to the gym every single day, I deserve that piece of cake every single day.
Mhm.
Or that Caesar salad that you're going eating outside. Because by the way, Caesar salad, when you're eating outdoors with all of the dressing, it's actually equivalent to 1,000 calories
The
just in a Caesar
Caesar
salad.
salad?
Yeah, and we think a Caesar salad is really healthy for you, right? But really, the portion and the dressings and everything, it then is like equivalent to 1,000 calories.
That is
So that
insane.
plus your piece of cake, plus your, Starbucks coffee, you're grabbing for a chocolate. Like honestly, you're like packing in like 4,000 calories a day when you like burn like 600 calories at the gym and you're wondering why you're not losing weight,
Ooh.
right?
So,
Think
okay,
about it.
and because you brought 3 of these that I kinda wanna talk about because I think that, going back to what are some of the supplements we should probably take, over if we're 35 and over, or if we just started to have kids or we're in, like, that pre-post or even premenopause, that sort of stage, and we're starting to feel the effects of, like, thyroid issues and gut issues and being able to eat dairy or not eat dairy. I feel like so many things changed for me after I had my daughter, my second child, and I was like, oh, what happened to my thyroid? What happened to my gut? I thought I was okay with gluten. So how what tell us about like the energizing because I feel like you have so much health and vitality and I think I do, but I know that like I need to supplement with so many things.
I like to think as well that I am very blessed every single day because I never had any gut related issues, and I just turned 44 in December last year.
Woo!
And for me, girl, like I would say that I don't even think that it's about luck or just being blessed. It's really the compound effect from everything that I've been doing over the last 2 decades that made my gut microbiome so strong, so resilient to so many different like environmental toxins, heavy metals, that I'm in a place where I can fight off a lot of the disease.
Yeah.
And a lot of women these days by the age of 35 are developing breast cancer,
Yeah.
right? Either they come from a family that had that or they don't come from a family that had that at all. But it's also because our environment is just not what it used to be 100, 1,000, 2,000 years ago. It's just so different. And if we are not mindful based on the compounding effect of our daily habits, it will start to show in our late 30s, beginning our 40s, and so on. So for me, as a gut specialist and somebody who cares about gut health and speaking about gut health all the time, is for women who really want to build a very strong gut microbiome, my number one advice would be really focus on fermented foods.
Okay.
Before we even get into the supplements, let's talk
Okay.
about the foods,
Yeah.
right? Because supplements will never replace food. And a lot of people think that because they're supplementing and they're eating trash, it will still help them stay healthy.
Hmm.
But people don't realize that, that's why do we call a supplement a supplement? Is because you're really supplementing real food.
Yeah.
But the thing is like today supplements are no longer just a want, it's now a need because we're not getting the nutritional components and value from food alone to be able to give us what our body needs to thrive. And hence why they coexist and something that we need to take together. So number one is focus on your diet. Make sure that, follow the 80/20 rule. I'm not telling you to cut out every single thing that you love because we all love a bit of cake. We want to have, some ice cream. And for me to tell you that you should completely eliminate that is like, where's the joy in life, right? We love carbs, we like gluten,
Yeah.
right? And to sit here and tell you like remove all of that is like no one's gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
We still are human and we still want to go on holiday and enjoy, the piece of cake or whatever it is. So I would always say like focus on the 80/20 rule. Definitely 80% of your diet throughout the week should be healthy. And even though it's the 20%, the 80% will make up for it, right?
Mm.
Keep your glucose levels stable.
Okay.
Super, super important.
And how can we start checking for that?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you go into you do your tests, you can check your glucose levels. So it's
Hmm.
your AC1
Your
levels, your
AC1.
AC1
Okay.
levels. So you definitely want to always make sure that that's below the recommended amount. It's not elevated. But then, of course, when you're checking that, it's also it changes. And of course, if you're someone that's overweight, you are more predisposed to getting type 2 diabetes,
Yeah.
right? And that comes with being obese and someone that is packed on a lot more weight because you're carrying a lot more fat in your body. And then that causes your liver to be overburdened and overworked. And then you develop something called like non-alcoholic fatty liver
Oh,
disease,
yes.
right? And people that developing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease can then become really extreme to the point that you will develop a lot of other chronic illnesses if you're not focusing your liver. I tell everyone that the gut is super important, but the liver is mega
Yeah.
important.
And it's because if at a certain time you're saying, and this is around what, the mid 30s, early 40s, if you're not detoxing your liver, then the liver's going to accumulate with so many things.
Yeah, and then
So the
that's when you
detox
start developing
pathways.
a lot of problems in your gut, right? So
Yeah.
there's something called the leaky gut, and the leaky gut syndrome is not it's not something that is just a myth. It's actually like there are people that are experiencing that where your gut lining is so overly compromised
Yeah.
that then it starts having
These holes.
holes, and these holes are then penetrating the bad pathogens into the good pathogens in the human body, which means that they're not having a barrier to be able to protect that. And that's when people are developing, IBS. And
Mm.
they're wondering like, why all of a sudden I have so much sensitivity, so many things, or you're like chronically constipated and you can't go to the toilet. So regular bowel movement is you need to definitely go once a day. And if you're not going daily, you have definitely something backed up there. And can
Mm.
you imagine, if you're not changing the diaper of your son
Oh
or
my
your
gosh.
child every
Yes.
single day, that's backed up. That's just giving people a visual representation of what that could
Oh
be,
man.
right? And
Okay.
it's terrible.
Because then it just absorbs back
It's
into your
just like
body.
it's just yeah, and not only that, it's just the fact that it's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And waste needs to be removed from your body daily, because what happens if it's not removed daily, it's then becoming causing disease into your body, right? So number one is diet. So fermented foods, super important. So I'm someone that loves kimchi.
Mm-hmm.
I consume kimchi every single day, but also kimchi in some studies has shown that reduces the risk of developing breast cancer.
Oh, okay.
Something as simple
It's kimchi.
as kimchi every single morning before you start your day gives your body enough fiber that it needs to help fight out all those negative pathogens,
All right, we got to go to the
right?
Korean store. That's
Yeah,
it.
just get some really good kimchi. Also, like understand the kind of kimchi that you're getting. So read the
Yeah, because
ingredients.
some of them are
You don't want
spicy.
yeah, but it's not even about the spice. It's more like some of them even are like have some sugar in it,
Yeah.
and you don't want those.
Mm-hmm.
Sauerkraut's really good too. So and I would always recommend that instead of buying, why don't you make some at home?
Mm.
Go online, find a really good recipe, and make your batch at home. So that's really good. So fermented foods, really important. Fiber, massively important for gut health. Like I can't stress this enough.
Do you like the psyllium husks that
I
people put?
do. I do
Okay.
like psyllium husk. Yes, I take them myself too. Chia seeds,
Chia
super
seeds.
important. Fruits and vegetables, massively important. And if you're someone that can't consume fruit, you're having IBS, IBD, and you can't have a lot of like fruits and vegetables every single day. There are other forms of fiber that you can consume. This psyllium husk is another one. You can get it from oatmeal,
Mm-hmm.
right? And super greens powders. I know there's this massive controversy about whether the super greens powder work or they don't work. But if you're someone that can't even consume fruits and vegetables, there's
This
still
is,
an alternative,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The problem with a lot of the, juicing anything is that you're removing a lot of the fiber and any things that you're juicing. So it's always better to take fruit as a whole. But still, there's way better super greens powder out there than others that are not so good. For example, like I love spirulina.
Mm.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
love everything seaweed based. I love moringa powder. I love
Moringa's got that tang to it.
yeah,
Do you put it in everything or?
yeah, I put it. So my regular ritual first thing in the morning is I like to have curcumin, so
Mm-hmm.
turmeric,
Yeah.
like pure turmeric,
Okay.
with a little bit of pepper because
Take notes, guys.
pepper and pepper without turmeric without pepper actually doesn't absorb best in your body. So you need
It's
to
not
have
even
them.
activated,
Yeah,
right?
you need to have
Okay.
them together as a whole. And then I like to add either spirulina powder or moringa powder, and I just blend that in
Okay.
in some water, and I just drink that as a shot. And
You
that's what
drink
I
it
drink.
as a shot.
Yeah, because when you understand it from
Huh.
like even traditional Indian methods,
Yes.
they've grown up with this. This is what they
I know.
do, and they
I hated drinking that stuff growing up.
yeah, and
Whoa.
like in their 80s and 90s, and you'll see these women in the 80s and
Oh
90s,
yeah,
and they're
they're
thriving.
thriving.
And
They are
all they
thriving.
do is something as simple as turmeric and pepper every single morning.
Yeah.
I like to add the spirulina and moringa in there because for me, that just gives me another level of
Well,
like,
those are the highest ingredients of like the green
yeah, yeah,
powder
I
that
love
goes
it.
straight
Yeah,
into
yeah,
your
yeah,
blood. And
correct. Because the antioxidant levels in those are like premium.
no wonder you look so amazing.
Thank you so
And
much.
then you're
Really
wearing
appreciate
like your
it.
spirulina green
Yeah,
sweatshirt.
right.
Okay, there's so much more. I feel like I have to bring you back for part 2 because there's so much more to dive
Yeah.
into with, just even the cancers that we get to develop if we're not really even cleansing our mind, body, spirit, and even our emotionality. So, um, we have a section called Spill the Chai as you drink your chai. Before we let you go, what is your favorite comfort food when you're not feeling well?
Ramen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Do you have any like specifics?
No, I really just like a vegetable ramen.
Okay,
Yeah,
veg
we love
ramen.
a vegetable ramen.
Your most adventurous or unexpected place that you visited recently?
Iceland,
Iceland. Oh,
really
okay.
beautiful.
One wellness trend that you are digging these days?
A red light therapy.
Okay. Yeah, it's so
Like,
underrated.
girl,
So
that
underrated.
stuff really works.
So underrated. Your favorite supplement that you've created?
The energizing.
Okay, so this one.
Yeah.
Tell us about
I
this one.
really love energizing because it's derived from seaweed.
Okay.
And for those that really understand the benefits of seaweed, like it's incredible for gut health.
I mean, there's a reason why all the Asian aunties look so
Yeah. Oh
good
my God. They like eat seaweed every single
and
day,
they're
girl.
thriving.
And they're like, yeah, and they're thriving. And you see these Japanese Korean moms in their like
Glass
60s and
skin,
70s, like,
glass
wow,
skin.
how do they look
Yeah.
like this? It's what they eat, it's a diet, right? So energizing is wonderful because in our clinical trials, we did like 2 groups. We did a group that didn't take our supplement and a group that took the energizing for over 6 to 8 weeks. And we did the biomarkers of inflammation, over 200 biomarkers of inflammation when they
Okay.
did the testing. And ours had the lowest amount of inflammation when they took the energizing supplement.
No way.
Yeah,
And it
so
helps with your
it
blood
keeps
glucose,
it, yeah,
right?
it keeps your glucose levels like stable and it lowers inflammation in the human body. The number one cause of disease is inflammation. And we want to make sure that our inflammation is always low so that even though you're someone that's eating highly fatty foods, high sugary foods, if you keep your inflammation low, you're not going to develop disease.
Oh
So
my
definitely
gosh.
energizing for anyone that's looking to keep your glucose level stable, suppress the growth of cancer and tumor cells in your body. You want to make sure that those are in check because we all have cancer cells in our body
Yeah.
that, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's based on lifestyle that we're activating those cells, right? And so taking the right kind of supplements, eating the right kind of diet is the ones that are going to keep your levels in your inflammation levels low. You're going to be thriving until you're about a centenarian.
Well, and you also have your fusion flow and your
Yeah.
brain boost.
Yeah.
Okay. And I
So,
love these
yeah. So
because
basically, so NMN is my brain boost. So,
NMN is your brain
yeah.
boost.
And that's the one that boosts NAD levels in their body,
Oof.
but without trimethylglycine, which is TMG.
Trimethylglycine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't absorb in the body as great. So you have to have them together to be
Okay.
able to really optimize the boost of the NAD levels in the
Got
body.
it. Okay. Oh,
So
because
those are
some
the
people,
2 that
yeah,
people need to get the brain
both of
boost and the
those.
fusion flow. Super good. It's 100% pure. So you know that you're getting just the best of the best. We're not adding anything in there. It's not a proprietary blend. And it's like 100% the active ingredient, which means that you're feeling great. So I have people who would buy this supplement and are just like after day 3, they're like, Mary, I feel so much more
So much more
sharper. Like
energized.
I feel energized. I wake up in the morning and I'm on the go. I
And you
feel
don't have to
great.
go to the thing to get the IV drip for
No,
4
you don't
hours
need to get any of that stuff. Yeah.
because you just take this every
Yeah,
morning.
totally.
I
Take it
love
in.
I love this. Okay, where can we get your supplements?
Yeah, so you can get it on my website. It's bethatlife.co.
BeThatLife.co.
And we're
Okay.
shipping it everywhere globally. So it's like, yeah,
Amazing.
it's
And
just,
we have a special code for our
we
Brave Table fam.
totally have a special code for
Okay,
you
so when you
guys.
enter Brave, then we'll get a special gift for those of you who are first time purchasers
Totally.
of the
Be That Life supplement.
Energizing and Be
Yes.
That Life supplements. And I will also link it in the show notes. So, and Mary Christine, where can we find you and connect with you more
Yeah, I
on
am
the
on
interwebs
Mary Christine on Instagram. That's Christine with a double I.
with a double I?
Yeah, Christine with a double I. And yeah, I for those that live in the UAE, it's we have a meal plan company here too, and it's really focused on, gut microbiome, anti-inflammatory meals. But then I have my supplement brand. And yeah, I mean, we're We're going to be launching 3 new products this year.
Ooh, so fun.
Yes, a female balancing hormone supplement,
We need that.
a super greens supplement that's focused on pre and postbiotics. That's
Ooh.
really nice. And one which is a secret.
Oh, secret. Okay, we'll have to bring her back. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
totally,
part 2.
totally have to bring me back.
Part 2. And one question that we end every episode with, what does it mean to be brave?
Unapologetically yourself. Someone that is not afraid to go beyond conventional societal norms, and someone who respects boundaries, and someone who believes in self-love and self-worth.
I love that. Mary Cristine, you are such a gem. Thank you for pouring into our community. And I'm going to link everything in the show notes, but love you, sister.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Love you.
All right, welcome back to the other side. Now, I don't know if you are as energized as I was of this conversation, but go ahead. You can go to marychristine.com with 2 I's, as well as bethatlife.co. And for Brave Table listeners, all you have to do when you're checking out and grabbing these lovely supplement for you, which gets shipped globally, by the way. You can enter the code BRAVE for all you Brave listeners for 10% off of your first purchase with them. And I don't know about you, but if you have somebody in your life that really needs a health haul, or maybe some of these health hacks, or maybe you have a mama friend who is struggling with maybe your kids and their behaviors. It could be something like what Mary Cristine shared in this episode with us today. Feel free to share this episode with them. Tag us on the Brave Table at the Brave Table on Instagram or at Neeta Bhushan. Let us know what your favorite moments were. If you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button because it helps us grow the show more than you know. And if you are watching this or listening to this on Spotify and or iTunes, there is a like button, thumbs up button. If you can hit that, it helps us get even more and more amazing guests. Thank you so much always, and I will see you next time. You know I've got so much more in store for you. So if you are really ready to dive in and keep owning your emotions like the boss that you are, click right here. Go ahead, don't be shy. I'll see you in the next one. Keep shining.